A lot of times you might have properties that are being sold through an LLC or a corporation. Only reason I'm bringing this up is because it does come up where, we ask for certain documentation to prove who's authorized to sign on behalf of these entities. We have partnerships too, but the most common are, LLCs and corporations. So I just quickly wanted to go over what is required by title, what we ask for and why, because sometimes we don't get the actual documentation that we're asking for. So, when we're dealing with an LLC, a limited liability company, whether it's a California, a Delaware, or any state, the first thing we're always going to do is check to make sure that they are in active good standing with the Secretary of State. If for some reason they're not, we cannot sell the property until they are. And then we ask for the operating agreement. So when we're dealing with an LLC, it's the operating agreement. The operating agreement will state who is authorized to sign on behalf of that LLC, right? So now let's say we're dealing with the corporation. Basically the same thing in the sense that we do still have to go with the Secretary of State, make sure that they're in good standing. Sometimes your client can send us a certificate of good standing, but we can run it ourselves. We can check with the Secretary of State, and we can check it in most states, not all states, but most states we can check it. But when we're dealing with the corporation, now we want to see the bylaws, want to see the corporate bylaws. That's what's going to tell us who's authorized to sign on behalf of that corporation. And in addition, we'll always ask for a specific corporate resolution from that corporation. Basically, it's basically just a letter where they're stating that, all the shareholders had a meeting, they agreed to sell the property at a certain sales price. So just remember the two differences in the two different type of entities. They do come up often, whether you're selling residential or commercial. But if you have questions, just feel free to reach out.